everyone. Welcome to the Viral Report. I'm Lamar. All right, so Paul Mooney is out here making headlines and counseling shows, all because he allegedly liked wieners on his bun, black snakes on his plane, and every now and then he likes to make another black snake moan. Hopefully you get the joke. So if you haven't heard, Paul Mooney is being accused of sleeping with Richard Pryor's son, who is Richard Pryor Jr., back in the 70s, when Richard Pryor Jr. was 19 years old. Now, some people were shocked by the allegations, while others were saying that they always knew something was up with Paul Mooney. All this was unearthed when Rashawn Khan, who is a former security guard of Richard Pryor, went on Comedy Hype and started spilling all kind of wine, piping hot tea. However, in this case, we'll call it all kind of old ass semen secrets from the 70s. He even claims Richard Pryor was so mad when he found out about, Paul Mooney sleeping with his son that he wanted Paul Mooney to die right then and there, putting out basically a hit on Paul Mooney. Take a look at this here.
Relationship became fragile.
Okay.
Because Paul Mooney had Richard's son by that time.
So Richard passed away in 2005. Where was his and Paul's relationship at that time?
Well, from JoJo Dancer on, the relationship became fragile.
Okay.
Because Paul Mooney had Richard's son by that time.
Okay.
And he violated. And that's any man, if you violate their children like that. Mm-hmm. So Paul took advantage of the situation. Mm-hmm. And so from there on, whatever Paul Mooney was to Richard, and there was a time that Paul Mooney was Richard's friend. I acknowledge that. Which is why the gay community really couldn't say anything they attempted to about Richard, because Paul Mooney was his friend. Mm-hmm. And they laughed. So when Paul did what he did, it was a violation of friendship first, and then my son,
Right.
And in some circles, that's supposed to be dealt with. So.
Was there ever a conversation to retaliate against that?
Yes, yeah, of course.
To what extent?
To the extent of Richard didn't want him on the planet no more. He shared it with me, and he said he wanted somebody killed. And Richard, that wasn't his conversation, so I just attribute that he must be high right now. And it's Friday. This is the high day, so it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He's, by Wednesday he'll be straight, because I knew the pattern. And I asked him again, because Richard never spoke like that. Mm-hmm. And I just said, do you remember what you said to me last week? And he was on it so clear. It was like, okay, it's serious. And so then I asked him, what is it about? He said, $1 million. I want somebody killed. And I was like, damn, I'm not a killer. I'm not that person. But I did give it thought. I know some people, some damn well.
Okay.
And the biggest problem with those people would have been you saying $1 million to them, because they would have did it for like 10 grand.
Right.
And so I asked him, what was it about?
And this is your first time hearing about the incident?
This was the first, when he told me the first time, I thought he was high. I just made that high conversation. But because he was so adamant about it, I asked him again that Wednesday, and then he went into detail, and that's when he told me what went on. And he told me who did it. Mm-hmm. And he was hurt by it.
Yeah.
He was hurt because it happened to his son, and he was really hurt, which I don't think Paul Mooney understood, because someone that I took as a friend did that to me.
Right.
Now, if that wasn't enough, TMZ Messy Selves tracked down Richard Pryor Jr. to get his take on these sizzling hot allegations. And here's what he had to say.
I want to talk to you about the claims from Rashawn Khan that you and Paul Mooney had a sexual relationship back in the 80s.
Thank you.
Is there any truth to that? I know that Paul Mooney's denied it.
Well, whatever happened in my life, it happened when I was young, way before the 80s. So,
Okay. Okay, so was it a consensual relationship?
How could any relationship be consensual if I was a teenager?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it was a long time ago. And Paul Mooney's denied the claim. So do you have anything you want to say to him?
Well, I really have nothing to say at all about the situation.
Were you aware of the alleged hate that your father put out on Paul Mooney that Rashawn Khan claims?
No, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Y'all just heard Richard Pryor Jr., basically validating his encounter with Paul Mooney back in the 70s. And my question is, why is all this 40-plus-year-old hot tea coming out now? It's interesting how majority of these high-profile sexual, allegations have been coming from black celebrity men here lately. While Harvey Weinstein and these other white sexual allegations have been, basically shushed or swept under the rug. Now, the 70s were before my time. However, from my understanding, this and the 80s were the times where, people were experimenting with drugs, sexuality, and, experimenting sexually. I think back then and today, a lot of these celebrities they swing different ways. That's part of the Hollywood circle. And I'm willing to bet for a lot of them, it offers a kind of freedom that, would probably be much harder to achieve if they were living like regular people. I say, living your truth, tell your truth so no one else can tell it for you.
Paul was with me once when I first fucked my first faggot. And he's been holding that over my head for 2 years. I fucked a faggot. I just want to say it now so nobody else can tell. I liked it. I would have married him, but he had to go away and get an operation.
That's exactly what Richard Pryor was doing in that clip, is living in his truth. He was telling it so nobody else could tell his truth, come out and embarrass him or shame him. All right. Now, because Paul Mooney wasn't openly living in his truth, I mean, at least I didn't know, or I don't even know if Paul Mooney is fully gay or bisexual. I really don't care. But now his truth is being spilled in the media, and it's got him ducking and dodging shows in Atlanta, all while lying and blaming it on health reasons. So in closing, I say Paul should definitely come out and address the situation. Yes, the boy was 19 at the time, but at 19, we basically say in this society, you're grown and you're old enough to know right from wrong. He knew that Paul Mooney was spitting game at him, and he just fell for it. And, Paul went up and plucked him or whatever. But, hey, I remember when this 18-year-old girl was, she was wanting me to date her. And I was quick to tell her hell to the no. My first initial is not R and my last name is not Kelly. So holler back at me when you're 20 years old, and I might, and that's a slim might, show you some attention. I say this entire situation regarding prying butt cheeks and becoming moody afterwards is sad, crazy, and seemingly wrong. So I want you all to let me know what y'all think of this old ass teabag of a story in the comments below. Peace. Oh man, we about to get this party started. If you made it this far in the video, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe, like, and that notification bell. It ain't a party until you subscribe. I love you for watching, and I'll see that beautiful face in the next one.